Good morning, and starting the first segment of Breakfast Show with the press review, and we're joined in the studio by Mr. Mohamad, Sheta, media expert. Hello, sir, and good morning.
A very beautiful good morning to you, to all your lovely viewers. And today it's very foggy outside, so I hope that everyone who's watching us, if he wants to be workplace on time, he should leave at least half an hour early.
And you have to take care.
And he definitely has to take care. And what is even more important is, because I noticed on my way from 6th of October to here to the studio, that many people are not using their lights. It is very foggy outside. This is why cars have something called fog light, which you're only supposed to use when it's foggy.
People are not using Egypt for fogs.
Actually, they use it during the nighttime because some people think it looks cool when it's very fashionable when you use the fog lights, because they're usually they're installed in the spoiler section, in the lower section of the car, so it looks like
I'm one of the people who didn't use the fog light today.
So well, you should actually, because I saw so many passenger car drivers and microbus drivers actually not using the lights and only the flashers, the flashlights, which is of course very dangerous, because actually you should only use the flashlights and the flashers when you have an emergency and when your car has, for example, broken down on the right side of the road. So this is when you're only supposed to use the flashlights, and otherwise you should use the normal lights, the fog lights or the normal lights at least. So hopefully that the traffic department starts a campaign during these days and these upcoming weeks, in order to really educate people how to use the fog lights and when to use the flashlights and when not to use them. And I hope that this will also be part of the traffic law anytime soon here in Egypt, so people would know what they should do and what they should not do when it's foggy.
Well, thank you for this free tip.
You're more than welcome.
And let's start with AlAhram اليوم newspaper, where President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said a reshuffle is going to take place soon for the cabinet, and he expects a greater cooperation with the administration of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump. The president made the remarks during his interview with editors-in-chief of the country's state-owned newspaper, and we have more about this in the following report.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said a government reshuffle will take place very soon, and that he expects greater cooperation with the administration of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump. The president made his remarks during his interview with the editors-in-chief of the country's state-owned papers. In response to a question about upcoming government shakeup, Sisi said, yes, there will be a reshuffle very soon. On Egypt's international relations, Sisi said there will be greater understanding and deeper cooperation with the administration of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump, mainly in counterterrorism efforts. He said the country is succeeding in its 3.5-year-long war against terrorism, adding that the number of militants has significantly diminished. Sisi added that Egypt's fierce war against terrorism is worse than traditional war, stressing that there is not enough of a media blitz that is necessary in times of war. On detained youth, Sisi said a committee tasked with reviewing the cases of detained youth was due to send a second list of those to gain presidential pardon on Monday. In November, the president pardoned 82 prisoners, mainly university students, jailed for illegally protesting. Sisi also called on Egyptians to use family planning to help in reducing population growth, which he says poses a huge burden and does not allow people to feel the fruits of development.
And moving to Al-Wafd newspaper, where the Kuwaiti Emir Sheikh Sabah Ahmed Al-Sabah, before moving to
yes, I was just about to interrupt you to just say something about the cabinet reshuffle. I hope that we really see some effective changes during the next cabinet reshuffle. We need to change some ministers for sure. I think it's maybe about time that we also change the Ministry of Industry, for example, because I haven't really seen any. Although I was very optimistic when he when he came into the when he became the minister 1.5 years ago or something like that. But unfortunately, I haven't really seen any significant development, especially in some sectors where there are some problems which have not been solved yet, for example, the automotive sector and the so-called automotive strategy. I mean, how come it takes you more than a year to come out with an effective strategy? We have seen ex-minister Mr. Ahmed, I forgot his name.
Ex-minister of what?
Ahmed
Of
Darwish,
industry?
Ahmed Darwish, ex-minister Ahmed Darwish, who is now in charge of the Suez Canal Development Authority. He was in Germany last week, and he was trying to meet with some car companies and some other companies to promote this area. And I think I see no cooperation between actually the different decision makers in the Egyptian government on that part. The other thing is we need new minister positions. I think we really need a minister for consumer protection. And most of the industry nations, they have a minister who's only in charge for the rights of the consumers, and not like in Egypt where we only have a very tiny consumer protection agency, which is obviously completely overstrained with all the problems we have in Egypt, and we have problems in every sector, and they're just taking care of the problems in the sector of home, electric appliances and cars, for example, and all the other problems like with the food industry, for example, or the food safety. I mean, we now will have a new food safety authority, but I think nevertheless we need a minister of consumer protection. And what we just talked about a few minutes ago about the awareness of the people when driving when it's foggy, for example, I think we also need to restructure completely the traffic sector in Egypt. We need a minister for traffic, actually, not a minister of interior who is in charge of the traffic and besides everything else. And I think the police forces and the minister of interior has much more important issues to take care of than regulating the traffic, and especially that traffic is a science. It's a science. I mean, they have some faculties in Europe and Germany where you only learn about scientific traffic rules and guidelines. And I think this is something what we need. We need a ministry only in charge of traffic, because this is one of the biggest problems we have, actually. Egypt loses billions of pounds every year because of the road crashes and the accidents we have on the roads. We lose so much foreign hard currencies because of the accidents we have, so the bad road conditions we have. And this means that people need to buy new spare parts, which means we have to import them again. Having lots of traffic congestions means that the fuel consumption and the fleet consumption of the cars goes up. This means, again, we lose lots of hard currencies and many, many more things. So I hope that we really see some new ministers in this cabinet. And I think it's about time that we really see when a minister comes into office, what's his plan, what's his 5 years plan, and after he leaves, what did he really achieve from those things?
Okay, I'm moving to Al-Wafd newspaper, where we read Kuwaiti Emir Sheikh Sabah Ahmed Al-Sabah sent a cable of condolences Tuesday to President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi after a terrorist attack against security forces in Egypt, New Valley Governorate. His Highness the Emir prayed for the security personnel killed in the attack and wished for a speedy recovery of the injured. Now it's almost a daily attack or a weekly attack on the police personnel. Until when it's going to stop?
We talked about this last week, if you remember. First of all, it's a very nice gesture, of course, from the Kuwaiti Emir to send his condolences. Also from my side, my condolences, of course, to the families of the victims. And, of course, I wish also the injured a speedy recovery. Nevertheless, this is what we were talking about last week, that I think that people who are the police and army forces who are stationed in some checkpoints are really not very concentrated on the work. Actually, a couple of days ago, I had a meeting downtown, so I went and parked in the Tahrir garage. And usually when you go to the Tahrir garage, they ask you to show the car license. So they check if this license is also the same one like on the license plates of the car. And the guy was playing with he had a mobile phone in his hand. So I give him the license of the car, and he just looked at it just for a millisecond, and then he gave it back to me. So I asked him, so how come you didn't even check if this is the same, if it says the same numbers like on the license plate of the car? He said, well, I saw it when you came, when you were just driving up here to the position where he was standing, this security guy. I said, okay, so what's the number of my license plate? And then he smiled and he said, well, I forgot, you know. So I think this just shows that some people who are working in some checkpoints are not really concentrated for what they're doing. I think maybe it's about time that we install cameras on these different checkpoints to see if these people are really also concentrated. Of course, this does not diminish the risk we have in Arish and in other parts of the world, in other parts of Egypt, and that we definitely have a terrorist threat. But I think it will be much easier to combat them and to fight those terrorist attacks if people would be a little bit more concentrated while they're working. So I hope that the army forces and the Minister of Interior really considers putting cameras on those checkpoints and seeing what how concentrated also our forces are doing their job. And like I said, of course, we wish them all the best to those who are still injured. And it shows that we are really fighting a big fight against terror.
Okay, and moving to AlAhram newspaper, where Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri left Cairo on Tuesday, heading to Bahrain on a two-day visit, carrying a verbal message from President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to King Hamad bin Isa al Khalifa on boosting cooperation. Spokesman for the Foreign Ministry, Chancellor Ahmed Abu Zaid, said that during the visit, developments on the regional and international arenas, particularly issues of common concern, as well as ways to deal with the crisis plaguing the Arab region and pose a threat to Arab and national security, will be reviewed. What's the importance of this visit to actually?
I think this is not the first time that our foreign minister delivers a verbal message to one of the heads of states in the Arab region during the past couple of weeks. And I'm not really sure. Unlike what has been said in the Egyptian media, that it's for boosting cooperation, I think it's more for discussing really critical issues. And I think it will, I mean, probably it's so critical that they don't want to have it in a written note or in a verbal note, like they say in the diplomatic sector. So verbal messages, I think they're really talking about the serious issues we have in the region right now, especially what concerns the other Arab nations. And I think it's about time that all the Arab countries really sit again on one table, because we notice that there are lots of tension between Egypt and Qatar and Turkey and many other nations, and I think this is not for the benefit of these countries, because these countries, they are supposed to have one common enemy, which is the terror, actually. And I think they should all sit on one table in order to be able to combat terrorism in a very effective way. And we've seen the crisis all over the Middle East region, in Syria and Yemen. I think this is one of the main reasons why our Egyptian Minister of Foreign Affairs is currently traveling around the Middle East and delivering verbal messages in order to really find a common ground for some future negotiations.
Okay, and moving to AlAhram newspaper, where the Egyptian Parliament's Legislative and Constitutional Affairs Committee approved on Tuesday a bill to amend for a protest law in accordance with the higher constitutional court verdict, stating that the Interior Ministry must petition the courts before attempting to block legal streets protest. The committee, headed by MP Bahauddin Abu Shuqa, approved the cabinet proposed amendment to the protest law Article 10 following the December 3rd court ruling. The new draft law, which is yet to be presented to the House for a vote, stipulates that the Interior Ministry and the concerned security director has the right to present a request to a court to cancel a protest or transfer it to another area if it presents a security threat. What's your opinion about this
Well,
new law?
I think every country has a law for protests. So I think it only makes sense that also Egypt has a law. And from what from what you just read, what I just read here, it seems that the organizers have the right to know the reasons why, for example, there was a ban or the area of the protest has been transferred, and at the same time, of course, the security and the safety of the other people around the area where the protest takes place. They also have a right to be able to move from one part to the other part of the city without being interrupted or without being, for example, stuck in traffic for like 3 or 4 hours. Just imagine, for example, you're driving from Mohandisin to Heliopolis, and suddenly you find a protest cutting the road, and you're stuck there for 3 or 4 hours, or your children coming back from school are stuck there. So I think it's definitely good for both sides, for the government side as well as for the protester side, to have a law really telling everyone his rights and his duties, and to have it in an organized way like it is taking place all over the world.
Okay, I'm moving to الأخبار اليوم newspaper, where we read Grand Mufti of Egypt, Shawki AlAhram, has condemned the terrorist attack perpetrated by a terror group of Boko Haram and targeted the university in northeast of Nigeria. 5 people were killed and 15 others injured in the multiple suicide bombings and blasts that took place early on Monday morning in various areas of the university in the capital of the largest city of Nigeria's northeastern Borno state. AlAhram has paid condolences to the families of the victims, praying Allah to bestow them with patience and deem a speedy recovery for the injured. Still, we have a Boko Haram, it's like as if they are planted in Nigeria, and of course in the Middle East we have Daesh. So what's your take on this?
Of course, the situation in Nigeria has been very unfortunate over the past couple of years. Just a couple of days ago, also an army jet, I think, hit a refugee camp by mistake, killing, I think, 100 people or something like that. So it shows that there is a kind of chaos in some parts of Nigeria, actually. Of course, Boko Haram are really doing a very, very bad job for the reputation of the Islam, of course. And I mean, they're fighting in the name of God and in the name of Allah. And unfortunately, it just makes the whole situation and the whole image of the Islam even much worse. And of course, they are not really very religious from the actions, what they have been doing. And I think it's just the same like with any terror group. They just want to have some power and to gain some land and do whatever they want in this land. So I think it's definitely, again, like I just said earlier, the countries really need to sit together and really try to fight terrorism in a very effective way on all different stages and all different levels.
Well, Mr. Mohamad Sheta, media expert, thank you very much for joining us, and welcome once again.
Thank you very much for having me, and have a lovely day to you and to
Thank you.
yours. Thank you.
And now we are moving to a quick break, so please stay tuned.